While this was the fastest G80 M3 in the world, unfortunately, all good things have to come to an end. We'll get to the fate of this car in a little bit. Before that, I'm going to tell you guys how we got here. So I decided to build a crazy G80 M3 after building a record-breaking F80 M3 that is still the current fastest since 2021. That car had the exhaust out the hood, top mount turbo setup, 1200 wheel horsepower, and it was something that I did for myself, wanting to have a fast car. Fast forward to a G80, I purchased this car. It sat for a year untouched. It had 3,000 miles on it, rotting away in my driveway, and I decided it's time to go crazy. I swiped my credit card, I bought a spare engine, pistons, rods, you name it, I bought it. I then sat for another year without touching a single one of those parts. A year later, when we finally decided to put the car together, we started with just doing a twin turbo kit for an event called Impact. The car was all over the place, everyone loved it, but it wasn't actually fast. It was sort of kind of like a dupe. I don't want to say I tricked everyone, but it was sort of kind of like, look at this crazy car with turbos out the hood. The car started, ran, drove, and it was probably in limp mode. We demoed the car, made 700 wheel horsepower and stock engine on pump gas. We then said it's time to put the built motor in. So we reached out to guys at MHD Tuning. They worked with us like no one else would, and they made sure that their end on the ECU platform side was as good as it could be. We built the motor. We did 300 dyno pulls in the car, working hand in hand with them. We made 1,350 horsepower. At the time, it was probably one of the highest, if not the highest horsepower G80s. And then we said, okay, it's time to go to the track. We then took the car to the track, and on our first full pass, because the car had no cage, we're going to get kicked off anyway, the car did a 7-second pass, which is like wildly insane. So we then we had a 7-second G80 M3, and I wasn't sure what was next. I thought about it and I said, okay, it's time for bigger turbos. We're gonna go even faster. We put precision 6466 turbos in the car, hoping to make way more power, and it didn't. It made 50 horsepower more, but at 5 pounds of boost more, aka no gains. It's not the turbo's fault. We had some issues with the car that we're resolving now, but it didn't really make the car any better. We brought the car to Florida for FL2K with that little bit lazier of a turbo setup, only making 50 horsepower more, hopefully it still works. Well, FL2K was a huge fail for us.
I don't think there's going to be much racing tonight with the current weather conditions.
We did nothing productive.
Someone here is going to win.
One of us, yes. I wonder who.
Who's winning, Rick?
RK.
Jordan Wallace, left side, drive out of Bernard.
Good race.
No. Respect.
Thank you. I know online, Induction, in person, you're nicer.
To be honest, the whole B58 S58 class down there was a joke. All of these cars running horribly. There's a fuel pump controller that actually died. We didn't know. I wouldn't say it was poor diagnosis. So in that at Florida, we got no good passes. We went like 8s. The car went like 850 or 840, 860, which you'd think is a really fast car. For me in a car that does 7s, it's really not working correctly. So we came home, we resolved all the fueling issues. We said, okay, the car is ready to go 760 or better. So we went, we had the transmission inspected and refreshed from the guys at Pure Drivetrain because we thought we had issues, which we later found out was the transmission tune, not the transmission of the valve body. We actually had transmission, I think, 3 times trying to resolve this thing, and he kept telling me, Jordan, you can bring me a transmission every day you want. There's nothing for me to fix inside of this at this point. We went to a track in PA with everything we thought resolved and sorted, and we could not turn traction control off. So I drove around the parking lot doing circles for hours and got nowhere, till finding someone called. This guy solved all my problems. I came back here, put this car on the lift, and said, can you fix my coding issues? The guy coded everything out of my car and resolved every coding problem I had, and now I could turn traction control off. And I asked him, what did you do? And he pretty much told me, don't worry about it, the car's fixed. So I don't know what he did, but I can tell you that guy's like the coding god, and he also is the guy doing ECU unlocks without mailing your ECU out overseas. That's a whole nother thing for a whole nother video. As I said before, the car with the bigger turbos, I said only made 1,400 horsepower. Well, so it make 1,800 wheel horsepower. So being that it didn't really help the bigger turbos, we decided to go backwards. We went back and we put the small turbos back on the car. The air was getting nice and crisp. We decided it's time to go try just putting back what we had in the car that we did with 3,000 DA outside side and just trying to go back to the track and just breaking our own record by just a little bit. And at this point, someone else beat us by just a little bit, so time to reset it again by just a little bit. Went to the track, I broke my own record. If I went 786, I think before, I think this day I went 784 or something in that 10th range. I beat my time by a little bit, but I was not happy. The transmission tune still was not allowing me to launch correctly. I could do an amazing 60 foot and leave the hole super hard, but it would not go through the gears, or I could launch soft and it would go through the gears. Launching soft, I did that 780 pass, but it wasn't enough. So I said, okay, I'm gonna launch soft, and immediately out the hole, I'm turning the nitrous on harder. This car runs 150 horsepower of nitrous, 70 pounds of boost, and makes a ton of power. And I thought, it's okay. This car lived a good life, the motor lived a good life. If the car went 780 with the nitrous, 150 horsepower to the 8th, this car's gonna go 770, 760. Well, guys, I quickly learned that it was too much sauce for the off-the-shelf cheap connecting rods and pistons I had. So my car blew up. And you think, Jordan, you should be mad. Your car blew up. $10,000 engine, $5,000 of parts, and all this shit. The goal of this motor was never to go and be a 7-second car, make 1,400 wheel horsepower. I just did this sort of to do this, and it sort of escalated, and everyone got really fast really quickly. I wouldn't suggest using these parts to be this fast, and I learned my lesson, but it's okay at the end of the day. The motor's blown. The car's still one piece. I'm still one piece. I wasn't really that mad. But what comes now? I say this is the end of my crazy twin turbo G80 M3. What's gonna come next is actually something bigger, something badder. It's gonna make even more power, and I hope to just solidify the bridge. We're gonna go back with the big turbos we had, the 64, 66 next gens. We're gonna go with new exhaust manifolds flowing way more. Some small changes in the engine, which I'll tell you guys everything about. And we're gonna try to find that 17 to 1800 wheel horsepower range that I was hoping those turbos would do the first time. I don't know if I need other things done to the car. The new fuel pump I have in it has fuel. On MHC side, everything's just worked flawlessly to the point where I'm not sure what I could do better on that end, but they're gonna work with me with whatever tweaks and logic changes I want to help the car potentially leave on specific boost and ramp in boost differently. But pretty much we're just gonna get faster. That's the real main point of this. That's the real goal of this. I could call it quits. I could say I'm done, but I don't think there's any fun in that. And just to show how serious I am about this car and what we're doing, not including the broken engine in the car, it's pretty much trash. We don't have one or two, we have 3 spare motors for the car. One is my OEM, and 2 are engines I purchased. I will have a built engine in the car and a spare built engine on the side, ready to rock and roll. In case something like this happens again, I will be hopefully back on the road in no time. A lot of people think, Jordan, you gave up. Jordan, you quit. Where's the G80 updates? If you look, there's dots all over the engine bay. We've 3D scanned the engine bay. We've had new manifolds completely designed. It's not like we're doing this before. The shitty looking manifold that doesn't flow good, that's a huge restriction after 1300 horsepower. We're trying to get rid of any small thing that can be a potential problem. As previously before, I've never hidden a single mod in this car. I tell you guys how much nitrous, how much fuel, what fuel, everything on the car I've shared, every single part. The new setup is gonna be the same way. When I have the motor parts here and I do a build, instead of building a 1400 horsepower time bomb, and I show you guys how to build an 1800 horsepower proper engine, I will show you guys every single piece and part I use, why I do it, why I choose it, and I hope to be back at the top of that leaderboard, be the fastest there is.